Well, welcome back, Lawson.
Thanks, Mark. Good to be back.
Oh, sure.
It is good to be back. It was good to be away, and it's good to be back.
Okay. There's Brett. Okay.
Welcome back, awesome.
Thanks, Brett.
When did you get back?
You've missed so much fun.
I know you guys have been quite busy. I got back Saturday night, Mark. And enough time to sort of digest emails and read through minutes and see that you guys have been hard at work. So kudos to everybody.
Well, welcome back and looking forward to have you join in the fun.
Indeed. Indeed.
Missed a good meeting last night.
The select board meeting, Beth?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sort of sad I wasn't there, but not really sad I wasn't there.
What were the results of the board meeting last night?
They put our recommendations on the warrant.
Okay.
My clock's not showing. Is it almost 6? It's not quite 6.
A couple
Wait
more
another
minutes.
Yeah.
I have 6.
Did you guys have a meeting last week on the 1st? I thought
Yes,
I saw
we did.
emails about that, but no minutes from that. Is that right? Or
That's
did I miss
correct.
that? Okay.
That's correct. There's no minutes here.
Okay.
Well, I have 6. So I'll call the Tremont Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, March 8th to order at 6 p.m. Roll call, Beth Gott,
Yes, here.
Brett Witham,
Here.
Jeff Young,
Here,
Lawson Wilson,
Here.
and myself, Mark Good. I'm here as well. So we got a full crew on board tonight. And we also have CEO John Larson, Town Manager Jesse Dunbar, and applicants and members of the public as well. We don't have to excuse any absences since Lawson's back. And minutes, approved minutes, we actually approved these last week, I believe. So we can skip right ahead to new business. Wolf Wagon LLC and FW Thurston Company, pre-application meeting for proposed float system. Hi, Derek. I suppose you're going to be the one doing most of the talking, if not all of it.
Hi, how is everybody?
Just fine, just fine. Thanks for coming, first of all, for the pre-application hearing, I think, or conference. I think you'll find that, or at least we will find it interesting as well. So maybe you can quickly explain the project to us. I understand there's both Thurston's and Wolf Wagon. And,
Yes.
And you had to separate them because of DEP requirements, correct?
Correct. During the DEP submittal, they required that because they're separate lots that they would like to see them separately. So we have broken them into two separate projects. And I think that somewhat simplifies things looking at them separately. Initially, when we started the project, we have been a few years now in discussions with the Harbor Committee, reviewing the rules and regulations that we need to follow to implement these float systems. In doing so, we've had boundary surveys and biometric surveys for water depths. And then after many meetings with the Harbor Committee, it was determined that we should move forward with pursuing Army Corps, DEP, and submerged lands, just to make sure that we met the requirements from those agencies before moving forward. In doing so, we've received approval from those three agencies on both projects, as I've shown or included in your packet. So I think we're at the moment where we're looking to the planning board for final approval for these floats.
Well, don't jump ahead. There's a lot of work before you get there.
oh, should I move that we approve it?
Yeah.
I think that's what he's asking, but he's not going to get it.
Well, I guess I should, based on those two separate projects, looking first at FW Thurston's project, which is the expansion to the restaurant float system. We're looking to remove actually the existing float that's has seen a lot of age to it, and connecting to the new system, it seemed that we would need to replace that existing float. So that is replacement of existing float and expansion of 4 floats along the 3-to-1 boundary line from the federal project. And on the Wolf Wagon side, we have a new pier structure that comes down from the shoreline to a gangway to the additional 7 floats that come off from the shoreline, again along the 3-to-1 setback from the federal boundary, which is the Army Corps' requirement. As you can see on the property line, which this may clarify for some, that the submerged lands does not require a setback from property as long as the abutting owner approves that location, which we obviously approve the construction that way because it works for us to have it closer to that pier structure and and minimize the loss of shore frontage along the northern end of it.
Very, okay, first of all, Wolf Wagon is the restaurant or is it the,
Wolf Wagon
Fishing.
is the northern property shown on the plan. FW Thurston is the restaurant side.
okay, okay. And let's separate them out here. The Wolf Wagon slips are gonna be used how?
So the Wolf Wagon slips are primarily, it seems like at this point, we have limited space available. So we have currently 4 or 5 fishermen that don't have permanent anchorage. So we'll have quite a bit of fishermen looking to use that space primarily. We'll be giving priority to our fishermen for access for permanent anchorage. And then we also will allow it for recreational slip space or any other commercial facility like boat mechanics and places like that.
And for overnight use for recreational boaters, I mean, can they sleep on the boats?
No, that's not allowed within the harbor.
Okay, I didn't think so, so.
No.
And on the other side, what are those slips gonna be used for?
During the summertime, we'd like to use those for transient daily use for restaurant access. So they would be coming and going during the day. No overnight parking unless perhaps they'd had too many to drink that evening. But so that's the summer time frame. That's May through end of October. And then from that point, we occasionally have fishermen that would like to use it for tie up in the winter space for slip rental.
Gotcha. So for the restaurant use, if I had a boat, which I don't, where I could get in my canoe maybe and come down and tie up there and eat at the restaurant and then leave, that's sort of the idea?
Correct.
Okay. Board members, any other questions?
Any other use on those docks or is it just servicing the restaurant?
On the FW Thurston restaurant float, the servicing restaurant in the summertime, and then in the winter fisherman slip space.
Will there be any commercial use other than the restaurant during the restaurant season?
We occasionally may have a commercial boat, lobster boat that needs repairs or something that needs a place to tie up that we may allow them for a day or so during repairs, but that would be the extent of it. It wouldn't be any rental daily, weekly, or anything else. So it would be our fishermen that would, it's kind of an emergency tie up if they needed to be for repairs.
For the lack of a better word, so don't pick up my word, who would police this?
That would be me.
That would be you. So you would have the authority of asking someone to leave if they're not there legally or.
Correct.
So you have control over that.
I do.
Okay.
Other board members, anything? Any questions of Derek right now?
I'm just noticing on the drawings, and you mentioned the 3-to-1 setback, Derek. I'm not familiar with that term, and I've never looked at a drawing of a site plan that has docks in the water before. So this is all new territory. So
Sure.
just explain to me where that comes from and what that means.
So the 3-to-1 is a ratio of the dredge depth at that location. Dredge depth was a 6-foot dredge depth. So the 3-to-1 would make us 18 feet from the federal boundary. So the setback line you see would be 18 feet from federal channel. And that's an Army Corps requirement.
Great. And I guess related to that, it seems like the Wolf Wagon floats are sort of heading towards the town pier and the town floats. And I'm just sort of curious, and this is probably more of a harbor committee issue, but like, how do you make sure that there's enough space in there for the boats to maneuver? Is there like, I'm used to like parking lot design.
That's been years of
Yeah.
discussion there, Lawson.
Okay, great. I just,
I'll give you the quick rundown. If you can look at the C1, the larger 11 by 17.
yep, I got that open.
you can see our littoral boundary line and then a 25-foot setback, which is shown, and those are submerged lands requirements for a setback. But that's actually our shared littoral boundary line from the town and Wolf Wagon. And the town floats were permitted beyond our littoral boundary line, which has become, why this project has taken so long is because there was a bit of dispute on that zone. And
Right.
we have decided to bow down and allow the continued use of those town floats over our littoral boundary. And during our last meeting with a site visit with Army Corps, Submerged Lands, DP, we then again agreed to remove one additional float, which is where we've come up with the approximately 74 feet from the town float system.
Cool. Thank you. That
You're welcome.
makes sense.
So the issues you had previously, parties are resolve their differences?
We are,
I won't hold you to that if they show up at a meeting. I'm just,
no, we have agreed to only construct to the point shown currently. And that's the best we'll do for now.
Well, Derek, you might realize this is all new to us. We've never had a marina come before us, marina project come before us before. So bear with us here.
Sure.
In looking at your application, I did see a few things.
And Mark, it looks like John's raising his hand.
Yes, John.
I have a question of how the planning board wishes to review this application.
Okay,
Site plan review does not fit this application. There are specific standards in the land use ordinance that deal with marinas. Nothing, well, let's say Thurston's, there's nothing on land. These are just floats in the water.
there's parking on land, John.
That's part of the application.
I
The
understand.
land use has parking requirements.
That was a question that I had about site plan review, and I know that you said you didn't think that it was applicable. I guess I was going to discuss it a little later, but I'm just curious, and we see the marina development, the land use of this development shall comply with the applicable land use structure and performance standards. And we go down to M, maritime activities not located on land. Those activities which have their principal use not located on land must have their accessory uses which are on land comply with the applicable land use and structure standards of the zone in which they are located in the performance standards. And I go to the site plan review ordinance. I don't know. I'm just asking this as a question. I really don't know. And I look at Article 2.5, the conversion of an existing non-residential use, which I assume this would be, in whole or part to another non-residential use, if the new use changes the basic nature of the existing use such that it increases the intensity of on-off-site impacts of the use subject to the standards and criteria of the site plan review described in Article 9 of this ordinance. Well, the impact is greater. We know that. I would agree that many things in site plan review ordinance would be not applicable to this, but I'm just throwing this out as a question. Does it apply or not?
That's my question to the planning board. So I would recommend or suggest to the planning board that they discuss it and make a motion to do both ordinances or just the land use ordinance. I need to know that so I can review the application.
I understand that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe I misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you were advocating or saying that site plan review doesn't apply.
That I am advocating, but that's
Okay,
not my
okay.
call.
Okay. That's board, any thoughts on that? You want to review that for a little bit?
Mark, just sticking with the site plan review question and whether or not it applies, you were citing Article 2, paragraph A4, A5.
I believe so. Let me look and double check. Yeah.
And that talks about the conversion of a use to another use. And is that
Conversion. Yeah. Well,
is
there's
that happening here? It seems like the use is staying the same, but maybe I'm missing something. I don't know.
Well, that's probably a good point. I skipped over conversion. Derek, there are existing slips on the Thurston side, right? The restaurant side.
During the winter, we have started renting to the couple fishermen on the restaurant float. So we have had a couple slips in the last couple winters.
And George, there's a distinction between renting slips to commercial fishermen and having transient sort of restaurant guests from a land use standpoint. Is there a difference there?
I don't think it is in our ordinance. There's anything in our ordinance about it. Is there, John?
No, just
Yeah.
mention slips.
I can see how it might be a harbor committee question, but I know almost nothing about the harbor committee, so I should.
Well, let's hold off on this for a second. Because I had some other things that I think he needs for his application. Well, you folks think about that. Since he just mentioned, since Lawson just mentioned Harbor Committee, one of the things we require is Harbor Committee approval. And I've heard anecdotally that you've received that. Correct, Eric?
We did receive Harbor Committee approval.
Yeah, well, it would be good if you would include the minutes of that meeting with the vote in with your application so that we have that on record.
Okay, I don't have any of that information. Or
Pardon?
I don't have that information.
You could get that from the town. They'll give you the minutes.
Okay, so include the minutes from that approved meeting.
Yeah, just so you have that on record.
Okay,
I've heard that yes, they did approve it, but I think just for the application's purposes, that's a good practice.
sure.
The other thing, I noticed that you're the applicant, but you're not the owner,
No, I'm the general manager.
right? So we would require something from the owner saying that, giving you the authority to act on their behalf.
Okay,
Since your in-laws actually own it, I think that'll be a pretty easy step.
right. I already have a form that I filled out for the Army Corps and DP.
Okay, so include that in the application.
Okay,
We require a harbor traffic study. I didn't see anything in your, what you submitted.
if you look at the Wolf Wagon in the front section, if you go under section 12, it's actually the second to last plan that after reviewing with Justin, the harbor master, this is the best thing we could come up with without any kind of guidelines on what that harbor traffic study really is.
That's what I was wondering. I don't know what's required. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of vague. There isn't any guidance on what that should be. But this plan shows, based on experience in the harbor, typical entry and exit routes from those areas in question. And
I'm
part
not,
of,
I'm not sure what what you're referring to here. I'm on 12 and there's a bunch of stuff.
so if you go to the very end of 12, right to the divider for FWT,
Attachment 12,
yes.
land use ordinance article VL4, marina activity, harbor moorings.
Page before that, the page before it.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay. There we go. And educate me, what's this supposed to represent?
It represents entry and exit routes for the locations that we're proposing to have floats at. And as far as the impact itself goes, we don't see an increase in traffic flow that that would be like a roadway traffic flow changing within the harbor.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
on tab number 4, page 2, 6th paragraph. The Department of Marine Resources reviewed the project and stated that the proposed project should not cause any significant adverse impact to navigation or recreation.
okay, thank you.
I don't know if that statement addresses the flow issue, though. And I guess I would like to see, if possible, I look at the diagram, but I can't interpret the diagram, maybe an interpretation of it, or a putting into words the flow.
I can include a description that'll go along with it.
Yeah, I'm not
Just-
asking about an encyclopedia or something, just so there's,
Right.
when I look at, I don't see anything there except some arrows and an entry and I don't can't interpret it. So I think
Right.
it's good if we had an interpretation of it. I guess that's, thank you for that suggestion.
Okay.
And I'll sort of bridge onto that, Jeff. Dirk, it sounds like you came up with this in conversation with Justin.
Correct.
I think if you reference that in the harbor master helped with the harbor traffic impact study, to me, that feels like a useful thing to be able to cite when we're saying,
Right.
yes, there's a harbor traffic impact study and the harbor master said, there's no impact.
And I didn't really develop it with him. I reviewed what I had to offer for that part of the requirement, and he didn't know of anything else I should have to add to it. And
Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's something we want to add to our ordinance in the future, something saying what we actually require for that. But yeah, I think you're on the right track there with Jeff's suggestion and Lawson's. So. The other thing I was wondering about was the abutter list. Do we have everybody on there? I noticed you mentioned Marty, but Marty's not the owner. It's really the Paul Hinton estate there for the Little Red
Oh.
Store property.
I guess I thought he would be the he's a life tenant. Is that correct?
He's a life tenant on the property, correct? And after that, it becomes town property.
So you think I should modify Marty to?
Well, yeah, I think, yeah, because he's technically not the owner.
Okay.
He's a tenant.
Actually, he has, Brett, doesn't it, as a life interest, doesn't he have? consider having a
tenancy.
legal interest in the property?
The properties go over to the town after Marty leaves this planet.
Yes,
He-
as a life tenant, he has all the rights an owner would have, but for transfer of title.
That's how I understood it.
It's a small matter. I just figured it would, Paul Hinton Estates, the actual owner, why not just use it?
Use what?
Paul Hinton Estate rather than Marty, or do Marty Lyons, Paul Hinton Estate.
Add them both if you want to cover both ends and the town.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, do them both.
Oh,
That's fine.
that's fine.
And I don't remember what page that's on now. The abutters.
Section 3 on,
It's early in.
Okay, gotcha. And John, should there also be lot 22 on there?
I haven't verified them all.
You haven't verified them?
No.
So Derek, just maybe when you do the formal application, verify everything with John regarding the butters.
okay. I will.
And parking layout. Do you have anything about that? Because you need parking spaces for the slips.
Correct. So let me find that tab. So on parking layout, I did the tab under tab 9 that breaks down requirements per use. And then I also, I believe on your plans included the parking spaces are numbered for review. On the section 9, broken down spaces per type. So we're well within the requirements required because we will be constructing. Timmy Gott will be coming in this spring to add 10 more spaces on the Wolf Wagon side that we already have permitting for. But previous to even the additional 10, we're still within capacity, but we understand we could use more spaces. And I believe ultimately we won't really be adding many more vehicles as some of the slips on the Wolf Wagon property will be existing fishermen that already park at our facility. And on the restaurant side, those won't require additional spaces within the summertime. And then during the off season, we have an abundance of parking spaces.
I understand that. I was just wondering about actual plan showing those spaces. John, shouldn't that be included?
It's on the plan.
Yeah, check
Where?
out C1,
C1, okay.
which is in tab 11.
Oh, okay, I see now. Yeah. Okay. Sold. Thank you.
I saw a parking plan someplace.
It's on C1.
What tab?
Page tab 9. It's the folded out 11 by 17.
Tab 11.
Oh yeah.
That's where I saw them. Thank you.
They're there. And then he also has what's required of the ordinance, which is only 0.75 per slip. So you get 4 slips and you only need 3 parking spaces, which doesn't seem quite right to me. Although in the site plan, if site plan review were required, he would have to have 1 per slip, I believe.
It is going through this parking lot. Is it one way or two way?
One way.
So you can go out the other. I see they're all diagonal. So you go out one. It's two different, an entrance and an exit.
Correct.
Okay, I couldn't tell by the line what, thank you.
And we do have something about diagonal parking, but I think it's in site plan review. That has to be marked with arrows, entrance and exit, that sort of thing. But I'm sure you're gonna do that anyway, right, Derek?
We have roadway signage for one-way and entry and no exit on the Wolf Wagon side, existing already on the facility.
Right. The other thing is you said something about you might have fresh water, but you might not. You were unsure about that.
I am not going to provide that at the time being. We've had a couple bad years with water, which is why we've added a water tank to maintain the water we need currently. I think with the tank we've added, it has reduced the strain on our well. So we may be able to add that water at some point. We're going to have the infrastructure there. It would be easily added at some point, but I think we'll hold off on doing that temporarily.
That water goes to the restaurant as well?
It does. We have a 5,000 gallon holding tank that takes the pressure off from our water supply so that our well can recharge overnight slowly.
Does that tank refill from the well or you
It
bring
does.
water in? Okay,
From the well.
just curious, just curious.
Yeah, we have quite a water purification pumping system.
That's
all I basically saw. Board
Eric,
members?
Derek,
Yes,
who
sir.
drew the drawings, the site plan and
The survey itself was done by Dick Day, land surveyor, and then which includes the buildings and structures, includes all the property lines and markings. And then I overlaid the new float system, and I added the parking spaces. It's pretty much things that I added were the parking spaces and the new float systems.
I'm not sure it's an explicit requirement, but I think that we should probably, you should probably make that clear that like the surveyed information is done by a licensed surveyor. I think that it's the dock information seems, the float information seems fine, but it's one of those things that we want to make sure that we have, or I would like to make sure that we
Right.
know where the sources come from. Maybe it's in the
I noted on the top right of the plan in the note.
We can't read those notes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I can at least.
Derek, some of us are old, okay?
So I'm sorry.
So you explain that in this
It's definitely there. It's
fine print?
And if this were a full-size sheet, it would be totally legible.
Right.
So I'm satisfied. Thanks for pointing that out.
Anything else? Otherwise,
I have a-
what? Oh, go ahead, John.
I just have on the Thurston's float system, the restaurant floats. My question is, do I need planning board approval to replace my existing float and add those 4 floats that don't have summer slip rental space? Or is that a requirement that because there's no land structures, replacing existing and adding 4 floats? Is it necessary to continue with a planning board approval for that system?
That's a good question. John?
I would say it would fall under normal maintenance and repair, which doesn't require a permit. The addition of those additional floats would require approval.
The existing ones would fall under repair, not require approval. New ones will require planning board approval.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you placing, the ones you're replacing, they're slightly different sizes though, aren't they? The way I read that.
The existing float that I'm replacing is actually smaller in size.
Oh, okay. I'm happier with if it's smaller and larger. I think we might want to look at it a little bit.
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you don't have to call me sir, just call me mister. I have a
Yeah.
question about
You don't
financial
know what I
capacity.
call you sometimes, John. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I always thought those words were terms of endearment.
Yeah, that's right.
Financial capacity.
Oh, good point. Yes.
So I have a letter from First National Bank. But I know in the past, you've required an estimate for the cost to go along with the letter. Do you want that?
How difficult would that be to obtain, Derek? Just an estimate of the cost?
Well, we've already purchased and built the floats, so I have that number pretty well nailed down. The remaining cost excuse me, unknown to us is electrical, which would take me a little bit of time to pull that number together. I think it would take me a little longer than I would like to be able to revise this and get it back into you for the next meeting.
Just a ballpark.
So
Essentially, what John's saying is, do we want to know whether what the cost of the project is going to be covered by the line of credit or whatever the bank
Sure.
is saying?
So the project, I roughly have estimated the 200 to 225,000 range.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
perfect.
That's good. Yeah.
So now we just need that letter from the bank to say there's adequate funds to pay for the project.
Okay, to include that, a rough number of
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
As well as the bank letter.
Yeah.
Anything
Okay.
else, John, that you can think of?
No, I've gone through the application and I've actually done the checklist stuff already. It's what I did today. But I,
John, did you do that just for the land use ordinance?
just from the land use
Oh,
ordinance.
yep.
Do we go back and look at the site plan?
Yeah, that's what we have to do. Yeah, but I just want to make sure we have everything out of the way first. Sounds like we do.
Can I just go over the things I have so far from that to make sure I covered them?
Okay, sure.
It was include the minutes, approved minutes from the Harbor Committee.
Right. It has the vote that giving you the go ahead, basically. Yes.
Right. Include the harbor traffic flow description with a note regarding the conversation with Justin on that process.
Right.
Including Paul Hinton in with Marty Lyons, and then I'll also follow up with John on the abutters list.
It just kind of looked to me that we might be missing something, but I could be wrong. I often am.
And then on the financial portion, just including the total on the bank's letterhead.
That's right. And
I think-
getting the authority to act as the agent for the owners.
Right. I had a note for include authorization, but I forgot to write form on there. Great, thank you. I think
Board,
that's it.
any discussion about the site plan review? What do you think?
Mark,
Yes,
could
sir.
you, could you say again what section you feel that might be applicable that brings it into site plan?
Well, it kind of changed my mind after a little bit after Lawson pointed out conversion. It was article in site plan review, Article 2.5.
Right, okay, that's what I was looking at.
And then it gets even more confusing when it says described in Article 9. And if you go to Article 9, that's post-approval activities.
I see Article 9 as approval standards and criteria. And for what it's worth, at the record, I don't think it's applicable.
You don't think site plan is in this case?
No.
Okay,
I don't either.
okay. Anybody else?
I don't think it's applicable, although my article approval standards and criteria are Article 8, so I'm not sure we're looking at the same. Maybe I've got an old version. Did we change our article numbers since November?
Do you have a version 2021.11.02?
Yep, that's what I'm looking at. Yep.
I may have read the wrong one.
Oh, okay.
I've got both, and I read from the old one.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, no, I don't.
Post-approval- I have post-approval activities, Article 9.
That's what I've got too. Okay.
Yeah.
The problem, when it was updated, that cross-reference wasn't fixed.
Or you think that it referring to Article 9 is incorrect? Brett?
Right. It should be
It
referring to
has to be, I mean,
Article
it has to be, you've got to, you know.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either, yeah. Okay, anyway. Yeah,
I'll make a motion that the Wolf Wagon and Thurston's applications do not require site plan review.
we have a second.
I'll second.
Motion is second on the table that Wolf Wagon and Thurston's projects do not require site plan review. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Brett,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes.
Beth,
yes,
Jeff,
Yes.
myself, yes. Okay, Derek, are you pretty much all set now?
I think so. I appreciate your guys' time and I look forward to getting it back into you so we can finally move forward with this, hopefully.
Take your time.
Well, I have a short window for a contractor to put pilings in, so I need to get on the ball.
Okay, okay. Well, we look forward to seeing you back here, okay?
Great. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. We'll move on to old business. Pointy Head site plan, or Pointy Head determinant of completeness of application. You folks remember, we went through this at a previous meeting and found a few things incomplete. And hopefully, Mr. Bear, I see down there, and Ms. Watt have brought those things into completeness. Hi, Mr. Bear. You're muted.
We hope so too. Hello, thank you.
I don't see a need to go through all the ones that we've already approved. Let's just address the ones that we found lacking the last time. Sound good, folks?
Yes.
I also noticed that you included some additional information regarding things that we found complete the last time.
We thought we had, well, we worked from the incomplete list that Mr. Larson sent to us. We thought that it was more expansive than the boards, but we were not about to argue, time being of the essence. We didn't want to come back here and find out that he was right and we were wrong. We just went with what he gave us. So I appreciate you noticing that, but that's okay. Hopefully it won't cause much confusion for the board.
No, actually, it's helpful. I think you provided some good additional information there.
Thank you.
So I think the first one, I wasn't able to print out what John sent this afternoon, so I'm working from my old one here. So please correct me if I'm missing something. The first one I have is 82B.
Yep.
Location of all required building setbacks, yards, and buffers. Lawson, were you here for that? Complete this review?
I was not, and
Okay.
I'm happy to sort of participate, but I'm sort of feeling like I might sort of abstain from votes since I sort of missed the first review.
I don't
I've
think you
got-
need to do that. It's easy
Okay.
enough to check this stuff. We're doing it at the same time.
Great, I've got it in front of me. I've got the original application, and like, so I'm happy to participate. I just wanted to.
And if you see on, you have the additional information that
Yep,
the applicant sent. You look at
yep,
the third page there, it begins in yellow is all the things we found incomplete and some of the things we found complete as well. But and refers to different places in the plan or different plans. So
Great.
in this case, see revised site plan C1. And we're looking at location of all required building setbacks, yards, and buffers. And to bring you up to date here, Lawson, previously, the setbacks weren't at the 50-foot required by the campground standards. They thought they weren't a campground and then changed their mind. So they're now being considered a campground.
that makes sense, and therefore they have the 50-foot setback. Okay,
Right.
thank you. Yep.
Yes. So campground standards do apply here. I think this is complete now. What do you think, folks?
there's anything we can help with, Mr. Chairman, let us know. I thought that this was probably fairly self-evident from the plan.
We have members poring over that plan right now, so we'll wait and see what they all have to say.
Okay,
I didn't want to rush them.
okay.
What do you think, guys? And Beth? We okay there?
It seems complete to me, but I'm sort of curious about Jeff, Brett, and Beth's pause or quietness. Maybe there's something I'm missing or something because I wasn't at the meeting when we first reviewed that. So I don't want to jump ahead too enthusiastically, but
I was just kind of curious to see what happened if I didn't move something forward on a campground. And I think I've got my answer.
So if I make a motion that the location of all.
Beth, we don't have to make, for the complete of this review, we only have to make a motion at the end.
Oh, okay,
To
great.
find the whole thing complete, yeah.
Okay.
Or
I
incomplete.
thought we
Yeah.
had to do it individually.
No,
Okay.
no, that's
No, I'm all
only,
set then.
okay. Jeff, you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, so we find that complete, okay. And I think the next one, well, actually, they changed their evidence of technical and financial capability to carry out project as proposed. They've increased that number, but we found it complete the last time. Moving right along, 8.3C, location and size of any existing septic and well, culverts and drains, underground tanks. Which we find also on C1.
Yeah.
yep,
We're okay there?
Yep.
see that there.
Okay. Uh, 8.3D, location, names, and present width of existing streets or rights of way within or adjacent to the proposed development.
Harbor Drive.
I don't see Bass Harbor Woods Road. Is that the-
It's on the other side.
It's also shown on the vicinity map, in the upper part of the site, sheet C1.
Oh, that little aerial photo.
Oh, I see.
And there is a note on the site plan proper as well, but it was off the sheet. So it's kind of a note with an arrow pointing down.
Yeah, I see it.
Yep.
There.
We okay with that?
Yep.
Jeff,
Yes,
okay. All right, that one complete. Moving right along. Next one I have is the location, dimensions, and elevations of all existing buildings on the site. Also on C1.
Yep.
Are the existing cabins labeled?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Well, I don't know, at least a couple of them are. 1, 2, yep.
we okay there? I guess so, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
yeah, the elevations, where are the elevations, what am I missing on the elevations?
They're on the buildings themselves. If you look at the building footprint,
Yeah,
There's a little note that says FFE 28.99 and 27.62.
Okay. Thank you.
they move along. We okay?
Yep.
Yep.
8.3F, location and dimensions of existing driveways, parking and loading areas, walkways and sidewalks on or immediately adjacent to the site. Well, I see you've included Mr. Gott's driveway this time. How about the Kleinman driveway? Should that be on here?
That's to the north.
Yes.
The driveway to the north is shown on that aerial map as well. It's again off the sheet, so
Is the
off the site plan proper. So that's why we put it on the inset.
and when you're saying 300 feet between driveways, that's to the driveway to the north?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the Kleinman driveway that you're referring to, but it's the driveway to the north. Yes.
It is. Yep.
Yeah, that would be the Kleinmans.
Okay, thank you.
Are we okay there? Sounds that way.
Yep.
Yes.
Location 83G, location of intersecting roads and driveways within 200 feet of the site. Which is basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So we're okay there. Now, 83H, location of open drainage courses, wetlands, stone walls, graveyards, fences, stand of trees, and other important features. Must be on Plan C2.
Yep. I'm okay with it.
That's great. Yeah, looks good. And I'm
Everybody else agree?
Yes,
Okay. Next one is 8.3. L, sorry, looked like an I to me. Indication of water supply sufficient in quantity and quality for both normal use and fire protection. If you remember, we were concerned about the fire protection aspect, and they did contact the fire chief, who wrote a real extensive report that you'll find in there. So I think that condition's been met.
Okay.
Gotta wait for everybody else to check it out, make
yeah, I'm
sure.
just finding that.
I read it. Yep.
You know, Lawson, you could have been reviewing this while you were on vacation, you know?
Not bad. Although actually, I didn't get this addition until I got the
Okay,
supplement.
okay.
I didn't get
We'll
until I got
we'll
back.
let it slide this time, buddy.
Thanks. I'm good. I just saw got the email.
You okay?
Yep.
Okay. Conditions met. I think the next one is 8.4F. The location, dimensions, and ground floor elevations of all proposed buildings or building expansion proposed on the site. So I did see we do have the dimensions of the cabins now that aren't constructed. I did have a question, Mr. Bear.
Yes, sir.
Before you talked about platforms,
Yes.
things being raised, is that still in the plan, or?
Yes, of the 15 sites, I think there are 11 cabins and 4 very robust tents on platforms.
It looks like they're called out as decks in the drawing on C1. Although I only count 2 decks. So maybe I'm missing something.
I see 13.
And 5 is a deck.
5.
I may
5.
have my numbers wrong. I thought that there were 4 tent platforms. I'll see if I can find the communications.
No, unit 4 is also platform deck.
Oh. Yep. Low, I see, but it's got like a lower deck, a middle deck, and an upper deck.
Yeah, that's kind of like a weird one.
Right.
What's the deal there?
Well, we're not typical. I'm not sure that it's weird. It's unique.
Yeah, one person's unique is another person's weird, Mr. Bear.
Okay, fair enough.
Triple decker deck.
But I believe that our plan reflects the biggest of any platform. So if there's a multiple platform level on any location, we're showing the largest of those.
Right. One thing that we're concerned about these platforms, or decks, as you are calling them, was how high they are. And the reason that we were concerned about that was buffering for the neighbors. And I believe we asked you to add that, and I don't see it anywhere.
It on sheet C2, and I apologize, on the checklist, I should have referenced that also on that item. C1 shows the dimensions, and on sheet C2, it shows the proposed finished floor elevations. And they should be there for every single one of those structures.
Yep, it is.
And Alina, it looks like for that triple decker deck
A
extravaganza.
unique one.
Yeah. Those are also elevations underneath 37.95, 34.8. Those are the elevations. Okay.
Correct. It's existing, so that's why it's on a lighter layer. It's already in place.
Got it.
Glad you could read that, Lawson. That's why we have you on the board.
I'm here for my eyes, but nothing else.
Yeah. It's not your mind, it's your eyes, right?
That's right. That's fine. That's just fine. I'm glad I'm useful for something.
Are we all set there, folks?
Yep.
Right, and this is just right. We're completeness. We don't have to figure out right now the relationship between buffering and FF&E.
Right, right.
But we
yeah,
have the
that
information,
all
so we can review that.
Yes, we're just making sure they have all the information that's required here.
Yep. Yep.
I think the next one, let's see. Oh, is that it? Am I missing something?
What about 84A? Did we talk about that already?
Which one?
84A is the water demand. It's highlighted and
84A.
estimated demand for water supply, and there's a new
Right.
cover letter.
I haven't marked on my list as we found it complete the last time. Was that not the case?
I guess I'm looking at, it looks like there's a new cover letter that addresses that, and that on
Right,
John's checklist.
That, Mr. Chairman, that may be one of the items that the board actually found complete, but Mr. Larson sent us a list and that was on the list. So we did a little more by way of submission for additional information if you want it.
Right, right. And I see you did provide additional information there. So I think we're all set there.
Yep.
Okay, if we're not missing anything, I guess I'll entertain a motion to find this complete. We're not.
I see. Sorry, Mark. I'm just looking at. I guess you're not looking at John's checklist. I don't know
Yeah.
if we need to, but it looks like A4B, the proposed surface water drainage, and A4C and A4D and A4E all have more information that were submitted.
Right. But
I'm not
they're
sure
all-
we need that in order to determine it complete, but
Well, those are items we found complete the last time. So they did provide additional information.
and there's no problem with us.
Although the additional information will be important in considering the project. I
Right.
don't see where it's necessary to determine completeness, since we already found it to be met.
I agree. That makes sense.
So if somebody wants to make a motion,
Happy to do it. I'll move that we find the revised submission on Pointy Head to be complete.
I'll second that.
okay, motion and second on the table to find the revised submission on Pointing Head to be complete. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Jeff,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes.
Was that a yes? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, myself, yes. Okay, 5-0. Okay, Mr. Barrow, we found it complete. Yeah, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
As you probably already know, we're going to require a peer review on some of these things, especially stormwater. And the last time the peer review was done by our town engineer, Greg Johnston. As you're fully aware, Greg has also did the engineering for Acadia Wilderness Lodge. And therefore, you might consider that to be a conflict. I don't know. I'm asking you right now, should we even bother asking Greg, or should we find somebody else?
We have never found ourselves to be in competition with Acadia Woods, and so we wouldn't find Mr. Johnson to be a conflict. If you choose to use him, that's fine by us. If you choose someone else, that's okay as well. So,
Okay,
but he's obviously a competent person to review these things, and we'd have no qualms about him doing so.
okay. Yeah, I think he can be fair, and I understand they're two quite different projects, and we don't even know if he's available. I'm just asking you that question right now
Yep.
to get it out of the way. Board members, any other questions for Mr. Bear or Ms. Watt before we say bye to them?
No,
We're gonna be planning a site visit as well at some point.
Well, yes, we could do that, but we don't need to schedule that now.
Okay.
How long do you think it will take if Mr. Johnson can do this? Do you have a sense of how long his turnaround would be?
I have no idea. I have no idea. But we'll try to find out as soon as possible. How's that?
That's fine.
And
Do you
somebody
need to
will-
have
and
that
somebody
in
will let you
hand
know.
before you do the site visit?
No, I don't believe
Okay.
so. I don't think we did that the last time. Did we, folks? Anybody remember?
I don't think we did.
And the same with AWL, when we did the site visit, we did the peer review after that.
That's all I'm remembering. I don't
Yeah.
remember the pointy. I mean, I remember the pointy head site visit, but I don't remember the timing.
I don't know what the conditions are like over there now, probably icy, and I know most of that ice is gone now and snow, but I don't know what it's like over there.
And do you normally do your site visits on the day of a meeting, or do you just pick a convenient time for the board, and it could be any day of the week?
Do we do anything normally? That's a good question. Either way, we've done it both ways, I believe. Of course, as you're fully aware, a site visit is a meeting of the board, so.
And daylight savings takes place in a couple of weeks. I'm sensing from the discussion, obviously, we're not going to be on the board's agenda for the meeting on the 22nd of this month, but is it possible that we could have the site visit sometime in April?
As far as I'm concerned, yes. John, do you have any thoughts on that? I don't have our meeting schedule right in front of me.
No, but are you gonna schedule a public hearing?
Well, at some point, yes. Once we have the application, right? I mean,
Yeah, the application.
well, we have the application, you're right, but
Isn't that our next step? Once we find it complete?
John,
Normally it would be to hold a public hearing and do findings of fact. Approve of conditions or deny the application.
so we better schedule a public hearing.
And a site visit if we want. I mean, unless there's something else we're waiting on, Mark. But I think that if we found it complete, we have all the information in front of us that we need, other than the site visit, which we.
Yeah,
need.
yeah,
Or have a
and the
public
peer
hearing.
review.
And the peer
So-
review.
We have a meeting April 5th and April 19th. First and third, right?
I think it's the
What?
12th and 26th, according to the schedule. Is that the wrong?
I think it's the 2nd and 4th, isn't it?
Okay, second and fourth.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you work in more than one town.
More than one Tuesday in the month.
I think we need to decide if we're gonna have peer review, what we have Greg look at. And then I think we also then need to schedule a site visit to see if, and Greg might want to go on that. Or whoever does the peer review. What do we think about in terms of what we're gonna have the peer review person look at?
Well, stormwater, I don't know what else. So what we had them look at the last time. That was a big concern of the neighbors.
Do we want to ask about buffering as well?
Well,
And,
I was just thinking the same thing, yeah.
I mean, especially given that we know sort of elevations would be. I think I would
Yep.
appreciate having an expert look at the elevations and the buffering proposed and help us figure out how complete or not the proposed buffering would be, or effective.
Is there such a thing as an expert in buffering, or isn't that kind of our job?
Well, sure, a landscape architect or civil engineer could help figure out, like, based on where the existing houses, the neighbors' houses are, where the new houses are. I mean, yes, we could do it.
But I think that's our job.
One could argue that it's also our job to look at the review stormwater. I don't know.
No, we're not really engineers. I mean, you've got to hire an engineer to look at stormwater. I mean, visual buffering is whether you look at the standards in the you know, the ordinance. You sort of think, I mean, we can have, I don't know. Have we ever had anyone look at buffering, call in like a buffering engineer? Is that such a thing? I don't know.
I would call him a landscape architect, but
We haven't, no.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, not since I've been on the board.
I think that's
So it's been something the board has looked at.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we do. I think we look at the elevation, we look at, you know, the ordinance, and we decide whether the proposal, you know, is screens appropriately the neighbors, the abutters from what they're going to do there. You know, certainly the groundwater. We have the fire chief already responded. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we typically have. I don't remember what we had to look at last time. It's been so long.
Right. You mean with Pointy Head? I
Yeah,
think the last time with Pointy Head, the only thing I can recall is stormwater.
yeah. Now with
Now we know with AWL, one big concern was the water table,
yeah,
but they're using an existing well here.
right.
It certainly doesn't.
And the other one was septic, right? I mean, I don't know if there's going to be any. We had some look at, then we have some look at the septic, or there's a lot of, with AWL, a lot of discussion about the septic. I don't recall if we had an engineer look at
I
that
don't
or
think
not.
the engineer. I don't think we had an engineer look at the septic there,
Okay,
although I think CTR's engineer did take a look at that.
yeah, there was testimony about it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to resolve what we need to do, what we're going to ask, you know.
No, that's good. Yeah. And of course, we need to talk to Greg to find out if he can do it. Otherwise, we're going to find somebody else. We don't know what the timetable will be, but I'll get in touch. John won't be in tomorrow, but I'll get in touch with Jesse tomorrow, and maybe we can get the ball rolling on that. So I've got stormwater, I've got buffering off now. Forget that. Something we're going to look at. Is there anything else?
I think just scheduling the walkabout.
The walkabout, well, okay, I'm talking about the engineer now, the peer review. Okay, stormwater. And the other thing's a public hearing. John, you have any idea what's on the agenda for that March 22nd meeting?
Wolfwagon and Thurston.
Do we want to schedule a public hearing for then?
Can. You want to do a completeness as public hearing and then approve it, or approve it with conditions, or deny it?
is there a pro or a con to having the public hearing before or after the site visit? It feels to me like we'd want it after the site visit, especially if we're going to do the sort of the final check right after the public hearing.
How about a site visit on the 22nd? And then the public hearing. I mean, there's the public hearing and at the next meeting, whatever that is, I guess in April. in considering the
That
application.
seems good to me, and that it might give the peer review 3 weeks to get us something back, get something back to us.
Yep. How's
You're
that
gonna have
sound? Go ahead, John.
You're gonna have a site visit for the 22nd. You're gonna have a public hearing for April 12th. For
The
Pointy
12th, yeah.
Head.
That's the 12th is our next meeting after that in April?
Yep.
Yeah, why not? We can do the site visit. That's not going to take long. And then we could do it at Wednesday daylight savings time. Ed, what'd you say?
It's before this date. It's the weekend before the 22nd.
So it'll be light at like 5 o'clock. Why don't we schedule the site visit for like 5 o'clock at Pointy Head, and then follow that with a meeting regarding Wolf Wagon and Thurston's.
In person at the town office.
That's why I was going to get to that eventually. How's that sound to everybody?
Seems to make sense to me.
Okay. So we need a motion for the site visit, right, John?
Yes,
But Mark,
Yes.
the last site visit we had here, there was some, the owner had a couple employees checking who was coming and going and tried to limit attendance. I think the owner should know this is a public hearing and all can come in.
It's a public meeting.
I understand that.
Okay, last time there was a lot of resistance to non-neighbors and non-board. Anyone who wasn't a neighbor or board member, they tried to discourage coming.
I understand what may have happened before. I wasn't there. It won't happen this time.
And one other, I'm coming back to peer review for a moment. Do we need any concern about peer review for traffic?
There's an engineering manual that has all those answers, and that's what everybody uses. I don't know. I don't see what they're going to tell us unless you hire a traffic engineer, and they're probably going to just look at that as well. Anybody else have thoughts on that? Doesn't sound like it. Okay. Take a motion to schedule the site visit, first of all.
So moved. When do we have it?
It seems like I know the property, so I'm not, okay. I don't think it's changed since we were last there, but okay.
No, but I do think that as I recall, the property kind of slopes up and there's a property line that abuts some folks, and they're going to want to know and see where those platforms are and see what the sight line looks like from their property. I get that.
Mr. Bear, will those the potential sites there for the cabins and head platforms, will they be sort of marked so we kind of know? I know they were the last time.
Alina, can we do that before the 22nd?
I'll have to coordinate with Floyd and see what we can do.
I mean, just like a stake in the ground with a, something fluorescent tape on it or something that we could just see and compare it with from the neighbor's viewpoint.
The paper mache mock-ups preferably.
Say that again. Maybe not. Yeah.
They can be.
It's true though. You kind of want to, anyway. Yeah, no, that'd be great if you mark them.
Okay. Wait. So Brett, you made a motion to schedule a site visit for 5 PM at Pointy Head at 5 PM for March 22nd. Is that correct?
Sure did. Sounds good.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table to have a site visit at 5 PM, March 22nd at Pointy Head. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Brett,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes,
myself, yes, okay. 5 PM, okay. Now, do we need to schedule the public hearing right now, John, for the 12th? Or can we do that at our next meeting?
Gotta figure out how much time we have.
Mark, I would suggest doing it now.
Okay. How's the birthday party going, Jesse?
Good.
I'll make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for the Pointy Head campground. Are we calling it a campground? Campground application on Tuesday, April 12th. Should I say at 6 o'clock? At 6 o'clock in the Harvey Kelly room. Are we already ready to go there that far to say?
I think so.
Okay, I'll make the motion and we can discuss it, but in the Harvey Kelly room at the town office.
At 6,
Can we do a combination,
combination.
Zoom and in person?
It's very difficult to do with our technology or lack thereof. Everybody's meeting in person now. We're the sole holdout. There was a big meeting last night where everybody's at the town office. So we have a second to that?
I'll second that.
Motion and second to schedule a public hearing for Pointy Head at 6 PM, April 12th, in the Harvey Kelly meeting room of the town office, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Brett,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Jeff,
yes.
myself, yes. Okay,
Thank you. We'll see you on the 22nd.
Thank you very much.
thanks. Okay. Are you both going to be there? You, Miss Water, you going to be there too? Okay. So now we have to set the date for our next meeting. We already did the site plan at 5, so probably we need a motion to schedule it following the site visit.
Do we have to be specific about time?
I don't think so, just following the site visit.
I'll make a motion to schedule our next meeting on Tuesday, March 22nd, following the Pointy Head site visit
At
at the Harvey Kelly meeting room in the town office.
I second it.
motion and second to schedule our next meeting for March 22nd, following the site visit at Pointy Head in the Harvey Kelly meeting room at the town office. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Brett,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
myself, yes. Okay, 5-0. Okay, I guess we're all set there. Take a motion to adjourn at 7:30 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. Call for a vote. Brett,
Sure. Yeah.
Lawson,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
myself, yes. Okay, thanks, folks. Good night. Have a good night.
Good night.
night.
Voice.
Yep. Put your